It has been a blockbuster night on the campaign trail, and we begin with our exclusive interview with former President Trump. Tonight, we ask him about that appearance at Arlington National Cemetery, which is being criticized for bringing politics into the hallowed ground of Arlington, specifically for video and photographs of the former president laying a wreath in honor of service members killed in Afghanistan and posing with family members among the headstones, giving a thumbs up. Tonight, Mr. Trump defending his Arlington appearance, saying that he was not thinking about his campaign, that he was asked for a photograph by family members who lost their children in the chaotic Afghanistan withdrawal he says was caused by the Biden White House. Meanwhile, Vice President Kamala Harris campaigning in the Deep South, making news with her first interview since she launched her campaign. But we start tonight with Dasha Burns' exclusive.
Tonight, former President Donald Trump back in the battleground state of Michigan, making his first public comments about the controversy over his visit to Arlington National Cemetery earlier this week.
I was asked to go there by people who lost their child because of Biden and Harris, because their pullout was so bad of Afghanistan. They lost their child. And all of a sudden I hear that somebody that I have no idea who it is got into an argument with somebody else at the cemetery about pictures being taken. I took them at the request of the families, and I'm very happy I did.
In a statement today, an Army spokesperson said that Defense Department regulations, quote, clearly prohibit political activities on cemetery grounds, and that a cemetery employee was, quote, abruptly pushed aside when trying to ensure adherence to those rules.
We lost 13 great people.
The campaign on Tuesday posting this TikTok, highlighting video of Trump's visit, laying a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier, then posing among grave sites with family of service members killed in the attack at Abbey Gate in Afghanistan.
Should your campaign have put out those videos and photos?
Well, we have a lot of people. You know, we have people, TikTok people. You know, we're leading the internet.
But on that hallowed ground, should they have put out the images of those? I don't know what the rules and
regulations are. I don't know who did it. And it could have been them. It could have been the parents. It could have been somebody.
It was your campaign's TikTok, though, that put out the video.
I really don't know anything about it. All I do is I stood there and I said, if you'd like to have a picture, we can have a picture.
The former president also reflecting on the assassination attempt against him in Butler, Pennsylvania.
I wonder, having come so close, do you feel safe these days?
It was incredible that happened, that I was turned at that particular point, where something, the shooters would say it was like almost 100% that bad things would have happened. So I view it as, you know, a very positive event. Maybe it's positive because somebody wants me to take care of our country, which is failing so badly.
The former president also suggesting first to NBC News if he were reelected, fertility treatments would be covered without giving specifics on how.
Under the Trump administration, we are going to be paying for that treatment. So we are paying for that treatment.
All Americans who want it?
For all Americans that get it, all Americans that need it.
All right, Dasha, let's pick up right there on that IVF proposal. Do we have any idea how much it would cost the government to pay for those?
Tom, we actually did the math, and it would cost around $7.8 billion annually. Meanwhile, the Harris campaign is responding, saying in part, because Trump overturned Roe v. Wade, IVF is already under attack. Mr. Trump looking to make inroads and headlines on a big night for Vice President Harris. Tom?
All right, Dasha Burns with that big exclusive tonight. And now to the first joint interview with Vice President Kamala Harris and running mate Tim Walz, all as they campaign together in the Deep South. Peter Alexander reports tonight from Savannah, Georgia.
Tonight, after growing pressure to take questions and detail specific policy positions, Vice President Harris and her running mate Tim Walz are sitting down for their first interview since Harris entered the race nearly 6 weeks ago. Pressed by CNN why her positions on some key issues have changed.
I think the most important and most significant aspect of my policy perspective and decisions is my values have not changed.
And saying she would want a Republican in her cabinet.
It's important to have people at the table when some of the most important decisions are being made that have different views, different experiences.
It comes as Harris is going where no Democratic presidential nominee has gone in 3 decades.
Oh, it's good to be back in Savannah.
Wrapping up a 2-day bus tour here in southeast Georgia, a blue county in a largely red region, where the campaign is hoping to tighten former President Trump's margins and to repeat Joe Biden's 2020 victory in this critical battleground state. The latest polls show a competitive race, with Harris narrowly leading Mr. Trump in Georgia, as well as Arizona and Nevada, all still within the margin of error. Same story in North Carolina, but Mr. Trump has a slight lead there. Clinton Edminster owns an art supply shop in Savannah. He had reservations about President Biden's age, but is eager to vote for Harris.
What is it about Kamala Harris that gives you confidence the Democrats can win back the White House this fall?
It's absolutely her confidence and her enthusiasm, and you need that in order to run a campaign.
Tyler Merritt, founder of 9 Line Apparel, a clothing manufacturer, is supporting Mr. Trump.
Policy number 5 on his agenda is to bring manufacturing back to the United States, to stop outsourcing, and to allow us to bring the living wages that we need to support our families here in the United States.
Maria Cato is a floral designer for weddings, most concerned about her business that's been hard hit by inflation.
You haven't decided who to vote for.
No, because I'm waiting to see policies that's going to help us, small business, because small business are really hurting.
All right, Peter joins us now live. And Peter, we're learning more about how the vice president is preparing for the debate in less than 2 weeks.
Tom, multiple sources tell NBC News that Vice President Harris has been holding prep sessions between campaign stops and her official duties. And among her goals, according to one source, is to figure out how best to needle Mr. Trump to get him to appear unhinged. As the source said, to get Trump to go full Trump. Tom?
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.